Yes, we're joined by the Deputy Prime Minister and the Agriculture Minister, Barnaby Joyce from Canberra. Minister, good morning.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Very well. It's too late for people like David Jennings, isn't it?
No, it's not. We said all the way along that we would have a period between the 1st of July and the 1st of January, which we put $40 million into the budget to extend the current backpacker provisions. We said we'd use that time to resolve the issue. We've done that. We did it yesterday. The only thing that stands in the way of it now is the Labor Party or the crossbenchers. That 19% rate, although it might be slightly higher than New Zealand and Canada, when you look at actual take-home pay, because we pay them more, their net take-home amount is more. It's something that's well supported by the NFF, AusVeg, GrowCom. It has good support in the industry, and we've also putting $10 million on the table to attract people into Australia by an advertising campaign through Tourism Australia as well.
I hear that, but also, as you know, Minister, backpackers often make their travel plans 6 months, 12 months in advance. David Jennings, for one, his harvest is in 2 weeks' time. How is he going to survive? Well,
hang on. If his harvest is in 2 weeks' time, Michael, and the current provisions are in place till the 1st of January next year, then even before we made this decision, he had the capacity to bring people in at a concessional rate. In fact, a better concessional rate than he'll get after the backpacker tax comes in. The reason we have it at 19%, so it can be comparable to Australians working in the field. But if his harvest starts in 2 weeks' time, then there's no reason at all that he couldn't be attracting people in for that.
The government has also, as part of these measures, raised the tax on backpackers super to 95%. What was the reasoning behind that?
Because everything we do, Michael, we have to make sure we pay for it. And we are paying for this with the tax on the super and also with a $5 increase in the departure tax. Now, this is the budget position we were left in by a Labor Party that left us hundreds of billions of dollars in debt. And so every decision we do, we have to make sure that we're prudent with it, because if we're not prudent, then at some stage in the future, we're going to run out of the money for a health system, for an education system, for the ABC, and for anything else that actually comes out of the taxpayer's purse. So we always have to make prudent decisions that are covered by our capacity to raise the money from elsewhere.
The Treasurer, Scott Morrison, yesterday referred to the high levels of youth unemployment in some of those fruit-growing areas in Australia, in fact, you'd be well and truly aware of. Would you like to see more Australian young people picking fruit?
Absolutely, and that's why we're going to have a form of labour market testing, and that's important. It's going to be incredibly low regulation, but it's going to be there nonetheless. That basically says you have to have made some effort to try and find local labour. The problem we've got, obviously, in many instances is the number of people we need in a certain area are way beyond the capacity of that local area to provide. And I'll give you a classic example of one in my own area, Drake, which is between Tenterfield and Casino. There's probably only maybe 200 to 300 people in the town, but they need 1,000 people to pick the blueberries. Now, there's just not 1,000 labourers there. They have to come from elsewhere. The most reliable source is backpackers. You need them there for a short period of time and then they move on. However, the permanent jobs, the better paying jobs, the longer jobs are held by locals, and that gives a better standard of living to the local town. It also brings in real money for our nation.
The government wants the Senate to improve your measure, forcing those without jobs to wait 4 weeks before they get hold of the Job Start allowance, the New Start allowance. Would that be a measure that you'd hope would encourage young people to actually go out and take jobs like fruit picking?
Well, I think that everybody, and we've all, I don't know about you, Michael, but we've all had a crack at doing itinerant work. I certainly have. My kids have. They were great pickers when I did farm labouring. And that's just the way a lot of people, it's like their passage into adulthood. You have a period of time where you're doing itinerant jobs. In the past it was cotton chipping, now it's fruit picking. That'll continue to be the case, and those who are motivated will get out of bed and get to work.
Yeah, but do you worry that was then, this is now? Do you fear many young people see those sort of jobs beneath them?
I think human beings are basically the same. I hope not, Michael. I hope that most people, there's also the adventure that you have from getting out into the country. I mean, it's a good thing to basically get away from your usual environs, the city, and to get out into the country and have a look around and get paid for it while you're doing it. And also to meet lots of lovely backpackers on the way.
Yes, they are all lots of lovely backpackers. Now, the tourism industry, as you know, is ropeable about that increase in the passenger movement charge, the $5 increase in the departure tax. Any chance of reviewing that, or they'll just have to suck it up?
Well, let's take it. It's a $5 increase. That's about a cup of coffee. I don't think the world's going to collapse on that.
It's close to 10%.
But let's have a look at it's $5. So $5 is slightly more than a cup of coffee, about the price of a cup of coffee around Canberra. And if we look at what the Labor Party did, they did, I think it's $17 in their term. In 2008, they put it up by $11, and then in 2012, they put it up by a further $6. And we're still waiting to see what the Labor Party policy is on this, Michael. It's very important for your listeners, especially those in the backpacking industry, to understand, or in the horticultural industry to understand that they still have on the books the money from increasing the tax. They still have it there. So when Mr Fitzgibbon gets out and talks about his problems, he better explain by start saying, well, are you going to actually scrap it from your own costings because you've got it in there as a revenue item, and to this moment they have it there as a revenue item.
Just before we go, we're about to be joined by the New South Wales Primary Industries Minister on the shark menace, particularly on the New South Wales North Coast. Do you, as the Federal Minister, have a view on what to do about sharks?
I'm sure that Noel Blair has the sharks well and truly under control.
Well, he doesn't. That's the problem, as was evidenced by this attack a couple of days ago.
Well, I don't think we can hold him responsible for every animal of the ocean, although he is an incredibly competent minister, and I look forward to seeing what he has to say. But most people really understand that in the ocean live all manner of creatures, including sharks, but we should be doing what we can to protect people from them.
More culls, more conventional drumlines?
Well, that's a question. Look, that's a question that I don't have the proficiency to ask, and if I was to give an answer, I'd be just filling the air with noise.
Barnaby Joyce in Canberra, as always, thank you very much for joining Breakfast.
Good on you, Michael. Thanks, mate.